Hello everybody out there, I'm Eric Walker for all4sci-fi.com and welcome to another review. Today we're going to review Star Wars Clone Wars Episode 8, which is the final arc of this with the Martez sisters and Ahsoka Tano. And the episode is called Together Again. And speaking of Together Again, before we get started, I want to make a couple quick announcements. I can't wait till we all could get together again. So this episode has so much more meaning than just the name. As you know, we're all going through this incredible crisis with the pandemic, this virus, the COVID-19 virus, and just wanted to say that we're praying for everybody here at All for Sci-Fi. For all of you out there that watch this, we're praying for you and everybody else in the world. But please, do what they say, stay home, save lives, because it's starting to work. It's actually, the curve is starting to go down, so hopefully we'll be together again. Even though this episode had even more of a kind of a double meaning, hopefully we'll be together again soon, okay? And as always, we'll have a sign here that says spoilers, which will come up. So right before we start talking about the episode, that sign that says spoilers will come up. And if this is the first time you've run across any of our videos here at All for Sci-Fi, we do encourage you to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're notified every time we upload a new video. And we're doing that a lot now that we're all home alone, and we're able to catch up on all of our videos that we shot last year as well. This has given us a lot more time to get more videos up there for you guys. In fact, yesterday we premiered the interview with Mr. Mike Quinn, who plays Nien Nunb. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, search for our video and our interview with Mr. Mike Quinn. It's a great interview. It was taken right after The Rise of Skywalker premiered, so he was able to tell us, since we knew we were going to air it later, he was able to tell us all the different characters he played in, and we talked about a lot about the past, because he played Nien Nunb even in Return of the Jedi, so we were able to talk about what the differences are back 37 years ago versus now, what it was like playing Nien Nunb in The Rise of Skywalker. And of course, Mike Quinn played that character not only in Return of the Jedi, Star Wars Return of the Jedi, he also played Nien Nunb in The Force Awakens, in The Last Jedi, and now The Rise of Skywalker. So he's quite a Star Wars veteran, and he does a lot of other characters as well. He did Bulio, he did Admiral Akbar's son as well, and some other characters. He did, when they were on Pasaana, he did the character when they were doing the children's puppet show. He was doing a lot of the little children's puppets. So please check out that interview with Mr. Mike Quinn. It was a lot of fun interviewing him, and a privilege as well. Okay, let's get into this episode. So you're going to see a sign here that says spoilers here, because we're going to start talking about the spoilers. So if you haven't seen this episode, come back later and join in the discussion. As always, at All for Sci-Fi, we have a rating scale of 0 to 5 stars, 5 stars being the highest you could get here. If it's 3 stars or below, we don't recommend you stream the show or go to the movie theater if it's in the movies. It's 3 or below. So this episode, episode 8, Together Again, its official rating here at All for Sci-Fi is 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars. So we're going to go ahead and give this episode a little bit of a bump. I really liked it. I liked how this arc is ended with the Martez sisters. It was a little bit better, this episode, so I did bump it up. So I would say in this particular story arc with Ahsoka Tano and the Martez sisters, this is probably my favorite episode out of all the 4 episodes. The beginning episode was pretty cool too, but this one was it was kind of neat what happens in this episode. And let's go ahead and hit the sign that says spoilers here, because we're going to start talking about this episode. So Together Again starts off with, of course, Ahsoka, Rafa, and Trace Martez, the Martez sisters. They got stuck back in prison. So they're, as the announcer says, they're prisoners in peril, he says at the beginning. And they're having a discussion, and they're talking about how did they get into this mess. And of course, Rafa is trying to blame everything on Ahsoka, saying, you caused my sister to drop this shipment of spice, so it's all your fault. And they're going back and forth. And you could tell that Ahsoka does kind of feel responsible and wants to help out these sisters. So she kind of feels for them. And of course, in the last episode, we found out why the sisters don't trust Jedi. And so she's still living with the fact that she's also not revealed to them that she really is a Jedi. But who blames her after finding out that it's because of the Jedi that their parents got killed? We learned that in the last episode. So as they're discussing this, the guards come in and take them back out of the prisoner cell. They take them back up to Mar Krim, and he says to them, so what's it going to be? You're going to let me know where the spice is? And before this happened, Ahsoka says she's come up with an idea to just, she has an idea to get them out of trouble. Just follow along with her and go with it, because she's going to help. She has an idea to get them out of this trouble. So when they're back in there in front of Mar Krim, immediately Ahsoka says, I have an idea. And basically what she does is she says she doesn't really know these sisters at all. And if her idea is go ahead and let them go get the spice, she says that the Martez sisters have basically hidden the spice off-world. Go ahead and let them go get the spice, and you can leave me here as a prisoner. So basically Ahsoka is sacrificing herself so that they could go and get out of the situation. And of course, there's not much of a choice, so Mar Krim agrees with it and says, okay, I'll let you guys go for one rotation, go and get the spice and bring it back to me. Otherwise, I'm going to torture Ahsoka. And you're a friend to get me the information. And Ahsoka, before she does that, she says, if you let them go, if they don't come back, you'll have assurances, because I'll tell you who they are and where they're at so you could go find them. So anyway, so the Martez sisters then take off. They go ahead and leave, and they go back to Coruscant. And, Rafa doesn't like the fact that Ahsoka is one-upping her. And even Trace says, what, you want us to go and do something because you don't like the fact that Ahsoka, one-upped you and sacrificed herself? And she says, yeah, you're right, of course. So she says, I have an idea, so they go to leave. We go back to the planet, and at this point, Ahsoka uses the Force to let herself, because the Martez sisters are no longer there, she uses the Force to let herself out of the prison cell. So she's running around, and she comes into this area where she sees all these thermal detonators and these bombs, and she says, hey, I have an idea. Why not do something with this since I'm here? So she grabs a bunch of the thermal detonators and the bombs and everything, and she starts to go and place the bombs at different places. And as she's doing this, she comes across the Pikes with Mar Krim. They're on a platform, and guess who shows up? Been waiting for this one. They are talking to Darth Maul. So now we have Darth Maul, and they're explaining stuff to Darth Maul, and he's saying, you better get me the spice, otherwise, I might just, not use you any longer, and I'm sure Crimson Dawn will love to take over what you're doing for me on the spice trade. So Ahsoka actually sees this and is watching them talk to Darth Maul, and for a second, Darth Maul kind of almost senses something, and he looks around, but she, of course, gets out of the way in enough time that he doesn't see her. How could he see her anyway? And it was kind of weird, because he's a hologram projection. How did he kind of sense her? Of course, he has the Force, the dark side of the Force. So, and now we're on with the Martez sisters, and Rafa's idea is to go back to the planet and still pretend like they're there to pick up a shipment of spice from the same people that they're going to give it to. So they go back to the planet, and they come up with this plan, and she goes, just listen to me. You do the driving. You drive the spaceship. Listen to me. And she starts talking to the person and saying that she's there to pick up a spice shipment, which is kind of funny that she's going to steal the spice from the same people she's going to give it to break out Ahsoka. So they land, and of course the manager doesn't, the person at the docking creature says, I don't have you here to pick up a shipment, and she's doing all her typical conniving, yelling at her, if you don't give me this shipment, you're going to get in trouble, and then you're going to have to listen to the higher up. So he scrambles, and it looks like she's going to start getting her way. And then after they do that, we go back to, of course, Asaka's still trying to do stuff and find out what's going on. And at one point, she decides she wants to try to find out where that transmission was coming from, she wants to know where Darth Maul's at. So she goes inside there, and she starts, they discover she's escaped. So they're looking for her too, by the way. But she's in there trying to find out where that Darth Maul transmission came from. And she finds out that Darth Maul is on Mandalore. So now things are starting to heat up. And in between all this stuff, of course, we see shots of Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians. We see them wondering what's going on, because before that, they saw the Martez sisters leave, and they're kind of monitoring the whole situation as well, seeing what's going on and what's going on with Ahsoka as well. But Darth Maul is on Mandalore. So what's going to happen in this next episode? So basically, they're loading. We go back to the Martez sisters. They're loading up the spice on their ship. And guess who shows up? The head manager shows up and says to them, who are you guys? What are you guys doing here trying to do this? And they have this big fight. And he's this really tall reptile alien. And they're fighting and battling him. And at one point, Rafa gets on this ledge and they're fighting. And eventually she ends up knocking him down. She gets up atop above them and throws stuff on him, and he falls down to his death. So they're able to get away with the spice, but after this quick little battle. And now they show up to give the spice to the Pikes. And as they're doing that, they, of course, and now at this point, they've actually found Ahsoka. And the Pikes, Mar Krim notices that he knows that he figures out that Ahsoka is a Jedi. So he's all excited that he's captured this Jedi. So now that he could maybe execute Ahsoka and be back on top and show that the Pikes killed the Jedi. And at that time that he's about ready to do something with Ahsoka, the Martez, Rafa, and Trace show up, and they got the spice. And that's when they finally find out that Ahsoka is a Jedi. Okay, so right as they're doing that, Ahsoka's trying to warn them, now's not the time to fight or argue about this. As they're doing that, the bombs go off that she set, all the charges, all the thermal detonators that start exploding. That gives them the opportunity to escape. So they get back on their ship. And, of course, they're a little upset at Ahsoka not saying she was a Jedi, and she's saying, how could I tell you after what you told me? And in the meantime, now that they're trying to escape and are on the ship and leaving, they're in hot pursuit. The Pikes are after them in their ships. And, at that point, Trace says, well, since you're a Jedi, do you know how to shoot? She goes, yes, of course I do. So they have this battle going on where they're chasing them on the Silver Angel, and Ahsoka's manning the guns, and she shoots one of them down. She gets ready to shoot another one, but before she does that, they hit and break her gun and their deflector shields in the back, so they're vulnerable. So Trace flips the ship around and starts going right at him, and Rafa freaks out and says, what are you doing? You're like, you're playing like, they're going right back at it like they're playing this, who's gonna drop ship first. And it shows that Trace is really kind of crazy. She's like heading right at that ship, and she's like about ready to crash into the other ship head on, and the other ship veers off and runs into the mountain. So it worked, what she did. And when we find out that Trace is really a great pilot, and she's able to play chicken with this, which was kind of scared them for a moment, but Trace is no chicken, that's for sure. So they're able then to after that happens, they're able to fly off, and they go back to Coruscant, and they land, and they're sitting there talking, and guess who shows up? Guess who was following them the whole time? Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians was just following along this entire time, and they followed them back to Coruscant. And she comes up, and Bo-Katan comes up to Ahsoka and says, "I need your help." And at first, because it's Bo-Katan, Ahsoka is saying, "Watch out, be careful." This is she's on guard, but she says, Bo-Katan puts her at ease and says, "We both have a mutual enemy, this person," and she shows on a holographic projection, she shows Darth Maul, "We need your help with Darth Maul." So apparently Darth Maul must be over on Mandalore wreaking all this havoc and causing all these troubles. And she says, "I really need your help. Would you come with us?" And of course, she's reluctant, doesn't want to go with them. And Rafa just tells her, "Look, you are a Jedi. You are who we want the Jedi to be. Even though that happened to our parents, got killed because of something the Jedis did, you're who we want the Jedi to be, and that's who you are, and you need to accept it, and you need to go." And, and it's kind of a cute moment. Trey says, "Even though you're a Jedi, you're my friend," which is kind of a touching moment. So they hug, and Ahsoka says, "Hey, you know what? Just in case this doesn't work out, let me leave my bike here." So she leaves her speeder bike there. She goes, "Deal." So she gets on, so she goes ahead and decides to go with them, and she goes up into the ship, and the ship leaves, and the episode ends. That's it. We're done with the Martez sisters. At least for now, this story arc is over. And it was a good one. I thought it redeemed itself. In the middle, I didn't kind of like it. I thought, a little bit in the first episode and the second episode, I thought I didn't like Ahsoka's character that much. I thought she was a little bit too whiny. But I like how the episode ended and the result itself. And it definitely redeemed itself. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming next with Darth Maul. Hopefully the siege on Mandalore is going to happen, and we're going to have a whole bunch of Mandalorians flying around with their space packs as well. I'm really hoping to see a lot of action like that. That's going to be a lot of fun. But okay, that's it for this week's episode of Star Wars Clone Wars Episode 8. Together again, our official rating is 4.5 stars. You get 4.5 stars. I think you redeemed yourself. Can't wait to be back next week. In case you haven't done it already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video. Thank you guys for joining us. And again, saying a quick prayer for everybody. Stay at home. Let's beat this COVID-19 virus. I know we could all do it. And I can't wait until we're together again like this episode was. I'm Eric Walker for All for Sci-Fi saying, may the Force be with y'all.